Hey there, today we're going to be talking about persuasive strategies and how to write your pet peeve speech. Now, first things first, in your buzz agenda for today, you'll see that there's a video that talks about what ethos, pathos, and logos is. So if you haven't watched that yet, go ahead, pause this video, go watch that, and come back. But just as a quick review, ethos, pathos, and logos are persuasive strategies that you can use when writing. You'll see it in advertisements. Basically, anytime you want to convince someone of something, you are probably using one of these strategies. So let's just kind of take a look at this graphic organizer here and think through what pathos is. So pathos is when somebody uses an emotional appeal, right? Maybe you're trying to persuade your parents to let you do something. And you're like, Mom, everybody's doing it. I'm going to be left out. I'm going to be, hurt emotionally. You're appealing to your mother using pathos there. You want her to have an emotional reaction. You want her to feel sorry for her, or for you, rather. So you're relying on pathos there. Ethos is credibility. So if somebody is trying to establish their credibility when talking about something that has to do with the medical field, they may state that they're a doctor. And then the last one is logic, or logos, which is logic and reason. So this is where you try to appeal to somebody's logic and reason by just giving them very specific, direct reasons for why they should support your stance. Maybe that's facts, maybe that's statistics. Now, this was just a brief overview. There's a lot more you can do with these strategies. Again, make sure you're watching the video in the agenda for today. Now, our specific focus today is to go over the pet peeve 30-second speech assignment. Now, you're going to be working on this today and tomorrow, and then it's not due until Wednesday. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, when you open the assignment in the agenda, you'll see there is a pet peeve presentation, there are directions, and there's an outline. I would recommend taking a look at the pet peeve presentation. There are a few different links that we'll be going over in class. So I'll show you a couple of the things that would be good to go over before you write your pet peeve speech. Now, a pet peeve is something you find particularly annoying. And how you can start the process of writing your speech is the first thing you need to do is figure out what your pet peeves are. So you can make a list of those pet peeves, just jot them down on scrap paper. If you need some inspiration, I have attached a list here that you can reference. There's also this slide that says New York Times complaint box. And in class, we are going to be reading this complaint box that talks about public grooming. Pretty gross. All of the persuasive strategies are used, and in class we're going to talk about where the students see ethos, pathos, and logos. This would be something I would suggest taking a look at and reading on your own. I'm not going to read it to you on the presentation. I feel like you could probably handle reading it and thinking through where you see ethos, pathos, logos. There's nothing you need to write up for this. It's just a suggestion so you can see somebody who, put together a pet peeve. Not speech, but a writing piece. And theirs is super long. So yours does not need to be as long as theirs is. There's also there's a link here to some other New York Times complaint box articles. All right, now, the last slide here just goes through the directions and the outline, which I'm going to have us take a look at right now. But you can also get to that from the Buzz assignment. So I'm going to go back there. All right, so now I'm going to click on the directions. So if you want to pull those up as well or just log off my screen, that works. All right, so here are the directions. Your goal is to use the persuasive strategies you've learned, so ethos, pathos, logos, and use those strategies to persuade someone not to engage in the pet peeve that, really just bothers you and gets under your skin. So the requirements are that it's going to be 30 seconds long. So you'll have to kind of play around with that, see how long it takes you to read through your speech. Now, I am going to have you do a flip grid where you give your speech since you won't be in person. So make sure you're taking a look at the agenda every day so you know what to do and what the instructions are for that. You need to include like a brief introduction, body, and a conclusion, which I'll go over how to set that up. And then when you're giving your speech, you want to work on, even though it's going to be a video, you want to work on eye contact, posture, volume, not talking too fast, not talking too slow, or too quietly to where we can't hear you. All right, some things to remember. Make sure it's school appropriate. Do not pick a topic that is offensive to any group or person. Not cool. Don't do that. Your outline will need to be turned in, and that's also linked to the buzz assignment. So you've seen that. I've had the video on that, but we'll go through what to do for that outline. And do use emotion in your voice. Use some humor. Obviously, you're talking about a pet peeve, but sometimes pet peeves can be kind of silly, so totally appropriate to include humor. What not to do? Do not worry about looking silly. These speeches are meant to be a little silly, as I said, so don't be worried. Do not claim that nothing bugs you. That's just ridiculous. We all have things that bug us. And do not use people's names in your speech. That's not cool, right? This isn't let's air out all our beef with people in the class right now. It's not a thing. Okay. Now, here's an example. I'm not going to read through the whole thing for you, and I've kind of broken it down more into like an outline so you can see it. And then, obviously, when I would be giving the speech, I would cut it down a little bit. This is a little bit longer because I originally had written it for a longer speech. But basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to have an attention grabber. You're going to give some background information. And then you're going to list the at least two main reasons why a person should not engage in this pet peeve. So you're going to basically outline the main reasons here. So let's go ahead and and this is available to you on the instruction sheet. So again, I don't want to read this to you, but it's there. Make sure you're taking a look at it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the actual outline you'll be filling out today. So again, you can find this on the assignment page in Buzz. So I'm going to go ahead and click outline. All right, and so here's where I'm going to start to develop my outline. So intro, attention grabber, maybe I'm going to use a startling fact, or since I'm talking about my personal experience, I could start with a story, and I can also start with a quote if I think that's beneficial, or a fact or statistic. You do not need to incorporate any outside research into this, but you can if you would like. Background information. Why are you a credible person to discuss this pet peeve? And this could just be like, you've been alive for 15 years and you've been witnessing this pet peeve ever since you can remember. That would be an instance of establishing your credibility because you've seen it so many times. A thesis is a statement that contains your belief about your pet peeve. So what do you believe? Most likely it's that people should not engage in this particular pet peeve and that it is maybe harmful to themselves and others. Okay, so you're just getting your belief statement down there. Body paragraph 2, reason why a person should not engage in this pet peeve. So maybe you would talk about the pet peeve and then list the first reason somebody shouldn't engage in it. Make sure you are elaborating and explaining. This is where you can also give personal examples and then talk about your own experience with this pet peeve. And be sure to indicate what strategy you are using in parentheses. So again, if you look back at this document here, I've highlighted and put in parentheses when I've used the persuasive strategy. So I said here I'm using Ethos by describing that I've witnessed student behavior change over a 9-year period. If I scroll down, it says I'm using Pathos here by trying to make people feel a sense of sadness for the loss of human connection. So again, you want to identify the strategies you're using. You're going to come up with one more reason. So you just need 2 strong reasons why somebody should not engage in this pet peeve with the explanation. And then, list a solution. What's the solution here? Again, it really just depends on what your pet peeve topic is. And then come up with what the solution is. How can people resolve this? How can people cut it out with this pet peeve? How can they stop engaging in it? And then conclusion. Here's where you leave your last thought. So leave the audience with something to think about using a strong statement, catchy saying, a quote, or call to action. Usually a call to action is a strong way to end the pet peeve speech, just because, again, this whole purpose of your speech is to get people to avoid, doing the pet peeve, the thing that really bothers you and annoys you. So a call to action might be appropriate here. And again, you're using these final sentences to really emphasize your point, which is that somebody should not engage in that particular pet peeve. Once you're done with the outline, put it in speech form. So put it all together. So I know it's kind of annoying, but you'll just basically go to each box, copy and paste it, make sure it all makes sense together, and then you are good to go. Again, you can start working on the outline and start working on this in this class period. You will also have tomorrow to work on this speech assignment. Alrighty, that's all I got for us today. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.